Bang, there you go. 36 fights, 31 wins, 27 by knockout. Danny, the Green Machine, Green is with me tonight. G'day, Danny.
G'day, Eddie. How are you, mate?
Welcome aboard.
Thanks very much,
And
mate.
should I also say, former Australian Olympian, because you fought for Australia at the Sydney Olympics.
Yeah, I did, mate. It's an exciting time for that young girl coming up. She's got a massive thrill coming her way, especially when she's going to enter the village with the Australian team. And for me, back in 2000, was always a dream as a young kid, for any young kid, to go to the Olympic Games. And we all used to watch the opening ceremony on TV, and to actually experience it and walk into the stadium in Australia, in Sydney, representing my country. It was a massive thrill and an unforgettable time in my life.
What was it like in the village, walking around, seeing all the great athletes and being part of it? It
was a buzz. It was where I met Muhammad Ali there too, so I met him at the food hall one day. It was it was a real buzz.
Did you go up to him?
Yeah, I got a photo with him. I was lucky enough to get a photo, and the snaps, it's one of my favourite photos I've got, and it was just seeing so many people from different ways of life, different cultures, different countries. I mean, the food hall had to house nearly 12,000 people, so the different amount of foods that were there, and it was just a buzz. But us being boxers, we couldn't eat it. Yeah. So it was kind of torture going.
Well, you had weight problems even then, did you?
Well, I had to cut weight to make the weight for the fight. So you'd sneak past and you'd smell all the aromas coming from the different, the Asian countries and the whichever country it was. But yeah, it was torture, the food hall, until it was over. Well,
tell me about, what was the first fight you ever had anywhere?
First fight I ever had, apart from my brother beating him up all the time. My brother BG, we're best mates now, but he was pretty tough for me when we were young.
Used to give it to you, did he?
Oh, he stuck it to me good.
How old is he?
He's 2 years older than me now, and he knows that I'm the boss. So
you've turned the tables.
Tables well and truly turned it on.
But apart from your brother beating you up, how did you get into it? When did you realise that you actually knew how to put the dukes up?
I was about 12 when I was down the park with a couple of mates of ours, and a big fellow mate of ours back when we were younger named Heads. He was Chris Headland. He was a big, tall bloke, and he was 6 foot tall. And he was only 12 years old, and he hadn't quite grown into his nut at that stage. So
big head, did he?
Yeah. Well, he's only 12, and he caught to the stick, and one of these blokes was giving us a bit of herb, and giving him a bit of herb. So I jumped off the bike. I said, "Oh, let's have a go." And they said, "Do you want to fight us?" Yeah, no worries. And they're a bit older than us. I said, "I'm a taekwondo expert." I said, "Yeah, whatever, no worries. You're young, you don't really think about it." And he threw a few kicks at me, and he kicked me in the leg a couple of times, and I didn't realise that they were hurting because the adrenaline was pumping. A couple of days later, my leg was black and blue, but it didn't really affect me. And I remember just clocking him on and dropped him, and that was it. He said, "No more, no more." And he was the older blokes, and we ran off, went in the shops, got some knowledge, and ran down the park catching more frogs. So it was early on.
Even when you did that, it's got a good punch, it's got a good sound to it. Barry Michael once said you wouldn't let you pat his horse. Knock it over. Tell me about becoming a fighter. First of all, the Olympic dream, and then ultimately to go on and win 3 world titles.
Yeah, it's something you don't really think of. When you're a young kid watching Wilder Sports, or you see Tommy Hearns and Duran and Leonard and Hagler weighing in at the weigh-ins, and that golden era of boxing. I used to follow it. My dad used to follow the boxing a bit, and obviously Muhammad Ali was a big influence on all fighters. And as a kid, you don't realise you're going to become a 3-time world champion. And when I turned pro after the Olympic Games, my dream was obviously, like every fighter, to win a world title. But you just can't see it happening. It's such a big thing in front of you. My initial thing was to try and get a deposit down to buy a house, and if that didn't work, if boxing didn't work, but I was able to earn enough money to earn a deposit to buy a house back home in Perth where I was living, then I could fall back on my trade as a carpenter and pay the house off. So really that was the kind of first motivation I had to turn pro. And obviously things went on, and I was successful, and it was I kind of sometimes pinch myself to where I'm at today. Well,
you certainly got the house done. That's all fixed up. 3 world championships. A little boy now. Why keep going? Because you've done 3 world championships. You put the hand up now. You fought everyone. You haven't dodged anyone. You fought in different divisions. You've copped your whacks when you've been beaten, and you've bounced back. Why keep going? Because you've got a big fight coming up.
Yeah, I mean, the last fight I had, Eddie, was very tough. I've lost my last 2 fights. Yeah. And
which should be maybe time to say, well, OK, give it away.
Well, the one against Tarver was very difficult. It was a difficult night for me. I had a terrible night, and he had a good night, and subsequently,
he's been done for drugs since then, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and that's a very interesting thing that's come to light since then, because he had to lose 25 kilograms in 8 weeks, and as powerful as he was, he just kept getting stronger during the fight. So, who knows? But he's got to live with that for the rest of his life. But that's an unanswered question that I guess will never be answered. He's never going to tell us. So that was hard to deal with, but apart from that, I realised that wasn't the best I had to offer. So my coach and myself, Angelo, were very confident we could do, a lot better than that. So we chose the biggest and hardest guy in the cruiserweight division. We took on the biggest guy out there, the toughest guy and the best cruiserweight in the world, Krzysztof Wojtaszek, the WBC world champion. No one gave me a chance, and I knew that I was in with a real shake, and I was very confident. Angela and I, we sacrificed a lot, gave up a lot to be in the condition we were. We were dominating the fight. There was a minute to go, 45 seconds to go in the second last round, and I was 4 points ahead. All I had to do was finish the fight, and I was a 4-time world champion, and a fairy tale victory was that close, Eddie. Yeah. And he chinned me, mate, and he hit me with a beautiful shot, and I would have dropped the cow. And I got up to my feet. I was proud. I was very proud of the fact that I actually got to my feet, because most people would have been asleep. But the referee made the right decision. I was in no condition to continue. To continue on, and subsequently that was it. So yeah, it was tough to take, and no fighter wants to go out like that. And there's been a few things, Mundine keeps calling out here, and there's an opportunity possibly at the light heavyweight division, and there's a lot of things that possibly may happen in the future, but I don't know. I'm just taking this fight as possibly my last one. It is my last fight.
Let's have a look. We've got a graphic here because it's coming up and you'll be able to see it on Fox. We can get the conversation there with EMT, but this is the big fight. It's the Green Machine up against the Bronx Bomber. Danny Green versus Danny Santiago. Challenge stated that's in Perth on July 25th, and of course it'll be on main event on Foxtel, so make sure you get on there and have a look at it. Hey, Danny, let's go back to probably the peak of your career when you took on Marcus Bayer in Germany, who was a genuine gun fighter, and you had him done, but for a really dodgy refereeing decision. You opened up his eye, and then later on there was a head clash, and they stopped the fight and said that you head-butted him. Subsequently, everyone, I think, agrees that it was just a head clash and the fight should have gone on, and you should have won the world title that night. You were miles ahead on points. You had the rematch. He was up and ready to go, and he's a genuine fighter, and he beat you. Do you look back on that one as the real one that got away?
Oh, look, everything happens for a reason, I believe, Eddie. And, first fight was a long time ago, and I was only a pup. I had 16 fights, 16 KOs, never been past 8 rounds. Took the opportunity, got paid very little to go there. It wasn't the motivating factor. I went there to win a world title. And was dominating, belted the bloke from pillar to post, and unfortunately was disqualified. I was reckless, but did not deserve to be called disqualified, but that's the way she rolls. Yeah. There's a lot worse things happen to people in life, so I had to just, suck that up and cop it sweet and move on. And the next fight I stopped Eric Lucas to win the world title over in Montreal. So for me, that erased that loss, that world title victory there in Montreal. And then to lose to him, I was well and truly out of my league now as a super middleweight. I was starting to grow as you progress, Eddie, as we all do as blokes and women. Everyone, as you get older, the human race, we get bigger, and you put on weight. And I was walking around about 4 or 5% body fat at that stage, and then I had to lose 4 or 5 or 6 kilograms, and then later on to my last fight at super middleweight I had to lose 10. So it was a difficult thing to lose lose that fight, mate, because I was such a favourite. But you got to cop it sweet, and he won the fight, and that's the game. One
final one. Barry Hall, did you make the right decision not to go on with boxing? Sometimes it looks a lot easier than it is. It's the toughest game of all.
Yeah, it's a hard game. It's a really hard game. And, Barry is a phenomenal footballer and had a lot of ability as a fighter. And, look, I don't really know. I think Barry made a good decision for the sport of boxing. I think he might have realised that it's a tough game, and I don't want to disrespect the sport and, by maybe not being able to dig deep and give it what it deserves, and I think he made a pretty strong decision for himself personally.
What about Jonathan Brown? He's good with the hands, isn't he?
Yeah, Brownie lets them go, mate. He's a big boxing fan, as Barry is. A lot of the blokes are big boxing fans, and I've been in Melbourne, the last 3 or 4 days. It's been amazing. So many guys coming over and saying g'day. The people in Melbourne, they love their boxing, but a lot of the footballers and the rugby players and a lot of guys love boxing, but Brownie in particular loves it, and he can throw them good too.
Well, mate, we're all in the corner for you on the 25th. Good luck. Can you hang around with us? Because you're a big Twitter man, and there's been a bit of a Twitter blue, and it's continued since we've been on air between Andrew Bogut and Buddy Franklin. And Buddy Franklin has tonight declared he is off Twitter. We'll tell you the whole story right after this on EMT. There you go. That was Andrew Bogut last week. You're going to have to help me get through this one, Danny, because I'm not big on the Twitter myself, mate. You are, though, aren't you?
Oh, I'm on Facebook. I've got nearly 250,000 on my Facebook fan site, so I'm...
Not paying for anyone, eh?
No, mate, I didn't know that was possible, but I've only got 15,000 on Twitter, so I'm a small fry, mate.
You might have to get going on this, because last week after Andrew Bogut mentioned about the buying of it, Buddy Franklin got onto it straight away. He said, I can smell some jealousy. Loved my followers, from Buddy Franklin. Then there was a story in the Sunday Herald Sun. Mark Stevens' column had this. This was what was there. Bogut buys into Buddy fans, and they've got the graphic there about how it jumped up from the was about the 8th of June to the 11th of June. It spiked up there by over 100,000 Twitter followers there. So then Andrew Bogut, he returned fire again. He said, funny how we got it here. We go. This is the Twitter trail. say that fast. Funny how I never mention names on EMT, but someone got defensive. Interesting. Buddy Franklin fired back. Hey, can anyone give me the number to the guy that can get my followers up? Hashtag 91,000, which is a bit of a go back at Andrew Bogut. And then Brendan Favola brought in Buddy Franklin. It's rolled over there, but he's got into him as well. Then Quade Cooper, it's not fair. How come you have so many followers? Get me some. That's from Buddy again. Sherrod Wellingham, who was the flatmate of Buddy Franklin, he brought in as well. Come to think of it, I'm feeling a little light on too. And then Andrew Bogut, he's fired back at Sherrod Wellingham. So apparently this is a fight. This is a fight in the year 2012. Is that right?
Well, mate, we're old school. I'm like you, Eddie. I'm still from the old school and always going to raise my kids old school. So this isn't a fight, mate. I know what this is. This is what you're playing at schoolyard, isn't it?
7 days ago, Buddy was on fire, but tonight he's pulled the pin completely. This is what Buddy, his final tweet came out and had this to say. Buddy Franklin, hey everyone, I'm out, done with Twitter. Sorry to all my supporters, but have had enough. Haters gonna hate. And then, just to wrap things up completely, Andrew Bogut's had return fire at the end, and make of this, if you can translate it, I can't in the Twitter world, but who's my buddy going for? Someone tweet him and ask. I'm blocked. Don't know why. Hashtag dollars, dollars, dollars.
Yeah, it's lost me, mate.
You got something there for me?
I've got nothing, mate. I don't know what that is. I mean, I'm just happy to have a few people that come along. You know, they're interested in what you do, and I try and get back to as many of them as I can. And they're genuine fans, so it's great. You know,
yeah.
Got 5 or 5.
Has Facebook been good for you?
Yeah, it's been great. It's a way. Like I got a lot of staunch supporters, mate, like yourself, Eddie. You've been fantastic, and it's great to have such good supporters and people that genuinely want to see you win your fights. And to those people, I can't thank them enough. And they're the people that you have these pages for. You give them as much information and just on what you're doing in your boxing life and what's going on a bit in your world. Not so much your personal life, but more because your family is sacred. So more on what you do day to day in your boxing world. And they love it, and they kind of eat it up. And if I can give them a bit of an insight and give them a bit of a thrill, it's great, because they've given me such thrills over the years.
Good on you, mate. All right, well, let's have a look at some of the Twitters from tonight's show. Plenty coming through as usual. Eileen says, good honesty sticks. Blues will weather the storm like we've survived other crises. I am Carlton, so that's good to see the Blues fans getting behind Stephen Kernahan. I thought he was fantastic tonight. Michael writes, at Carlton Footy Club president, impressive. Blues in good hands with he and Rats. Just need players to play well. There you go. Fair enough. That's the bottom line at the end of the day, isn't it? Yeah. And Matt says, how lovely are Jess and Jack Tringo? Well, they are, aren't they? They're an impressive couple, aren't they?
They're fantastic.
Brother, sister?
I was watching the interview upstairs. They were both beautiful kids, and also Sticks, he was pretty calm and pretty cool under pressure, wasn't he? He
was. Yeah. We know what the headlines will be tomorrow. Safe for this year only will be the headlines, because, as Sticks said, they'll review all positions at the end of the year, as all clubs do. But obviously the run home is going to make a big difference for Brett Ratton. But I'm glad to see that it's all right, at least until the end of this year. All right. Once again, Danny, here's the fight. It's going to be a beauty, and we're going to get right behind you. It's the Green Machine versus the Bronx Bomber. Danny Green versus Danny Santiago. Challenge Stadium, July 25th. And as I said, you'll be able to see it right here on Foxtel on the main event. Good on you, Danny. Good luck, mate. And we'll see you, hopefully, at the end of it all.
Much
Congratulations,
Thanks
champ.
very much, Eddie.
Great to have you on board.
Cheers, mate.
Don't forget the Hangers coming up next. Plenty of news there from the Bombers. Courtney Dempsey live in the studio. I'll catch you next Wednesday right here on Fox Footy for another edition of EMT. Good night.
The Green Machine is back, doing what he does best. Danny Green is taking another shot at glory, this time in the light heavyweight division in a quest for one more world title. Green takes on the big American Danny the Bronx Bomber Santiago, live from Perth for his last hometown fight. See the hard-hitting Green Machine back in action. Green versus Santiago, live Wednesday, July 25 on Main Event, Channel 518.